I guess it's been a while. So I'm due for one of these. I'm coming up now, walking up the canal. Coming up on Pacific Garden Mission, which I think brings me to think about something I've been needing to respond to from Kyle for a while now, and that's about privately funded charities. Okay, I've tried to record this a million times now. Not a million, but I get rambly, I get unorganized. I've made myself a little script here. It's only 4 bullet points with 6 subpoints, but I think it's worth talking about. That you see in both historically and today, when you have a lot of private funding for charities. I mean, there was an interim in the 20th century where a lot more institutions were backed by governments. But you see some issues that arise when it's a sort of a patchwork of individual privately funded charities trying to meet the needs of an area. I want to say that I definitely support private local charities. I love the work that a lot of these places are doing, but they all will admit that they have to restrict their focus to meet a specific need, a specific kind of need. So, for example, Pacific Garden Mission specializes in, homelessness and trying to help people get out of homelessness. But their big pitch is that they provide a lot of structure for people. They have to be in by a certain time, or they don't get in. The doors get locked. They have to be in certain conditions to get in, like can't be inebriated. They get kicked out at a certain time, and they're expected to go do something, hopefully something productive. They're coached towards getting back on their feet, getting their documentation in order, that kind of thing. But that doesn't. What Pacific Garden Mission doesn't do well is cater to people who are currently strongly held by addictions, for example, because they want to maintain a safer environment inside that they won't have if they let people come in if they're still high or inebriated in some way. So there needs to be another institution somewhere else that caters to helping people get clean. And you presume that somebody does it, but if you're working at Pacific Garden Mission, you have to sort of focus on the problem that you're focusing on and just hope somebody else covers the rest. And traditionally that runs afoul of issues where because the focus is selected in part by sort of market forces, by needing to market it to potential donors and convince donors that this is the problem that they should be contributing towards alleviating, rather than a different problem. You see some needs not getting met as well, and some needs being met actually quite well. And sometimes people have to make weird choices, like splitting up a family because the women's and children's homes might be better in an area than family homes. It's a problem that ends up happening when you have this sort of piecemeal approach to things. So traditionally and today, you have this marketing appeal being important, and if you lose that marketing appeal, then you lose funding. And of course, who suffers there isn't, whoever's the small people who are actually paid staff of the charity. It's the people who the charity was trying to help. You like to hope that the need decreased, and that's why they're not getting the funding. But it really could just be something as simple as something else caught public attention in the past year, and so people who regularly donated to you donated somewhere else instead, and they didn't have any more money left in their budget to give to you. And you're just not as cool a need this year, and that's kind of tragic. The other side to privately backed charities is the donors have to hold the charity accountable to things. So if I donate to a charity, then it's on me to make sure that they are actually trying to meet the need in an appropriate way, rather than squandering the funds to buy new cars for the board members or something like that. which means I don't have to just give money. I also have to consistently pay attention after the fact or leading up to the next time I might donate, which a lot of people don't do. And those who do, a lot of times will use kind of iffy metrics, like what percentage of total income is spent on the overhead for the company, paying salaries and things like that. And I think I've already gone off on this, but like if you were a homeless charity and you employed some people who you had been serving or you continue to serve as a way of helping them get off their feet, that would probably still go into salaries on your books or wages, and that would show up in that percentage, and then you might not get funding, and so people end up having to make sort of weird decisions that I think are not necessarily in the best interests of the people they're trying to help. Anyway, I mean, that's the way it was in the 1800s. That's the way it is now. There was an interim when the government stepped in and did a lot more work. A lot of those programs were shut down in part because people thought that they weren't doing a good job. But I think that sort of nationwide, or the sort of broader net, larger institutions can do a much better job at making sure they aren't necessarily like letting people fall through these cracks because they don't fit the definition of, the two charities in the area that are trying to help homelessness, for example. Anyway, that's my thoughts on that. This is going long again. I'm just going to give up and post it. Sorry.